Hello and welcome to Math200 Statistics online here at Cañada College. My name is Lapuz. In this video, we will try to do problem from homework, section 3.4, part 1. This is problem number 14. We have a 2010 Pew Research poll that asked 1,306 Americans, from what you've read and heard, is there solid evidence that the average temperature of the Earth has been getting warmer over the past few decades or not? The table shows the distribution of responses by party and ideology, where the counts have been replaced with relative frequencies. So what they're saying here is that the body of the table describes the relative frequency, which essentially will become our probabilities. And notice that the grand total is 1, as in 100%. We have the information or the columns that says Earth is warming, not warming, or don't know, or refuse to answer. And then the columns are listed as conservative Republican, moderate liberal Republican, moderate conservative Democrat, and liberal Democrat. We have the row totals and the column totals, and again the grand total is 100%, which is just denoted by 1. The first question, are believing the Earth is warming and being liberal Democrat mutually exclusive? For that, I would just look at the column that says, the Earth is warming and liberal Democrat, and I see that the number 0.18 is there, which means that there is an intersection between those two. So I would have to say that this is not mutually exclusive. There's a 0.18 chance that you get somebody who's a liberal Democrat and Earth is warming. Let's just call it EW for Earth is warming. So it's not mutually exclusive. All right, that's the first question. The second question is, what is the probability that a randomly chosen respondent believes that the Earth is warming or is a liberal Democrat? So we want the probability that we get somebody who believes the Earth is warming or a liberal Democrat. LD for liberal Democrat. So let's label this LD, and then Earth is warming EW. And this is an OR statement. And if we remember the OR statement, there is an addition rule involved with that. And the addition rule says we're finding the probability of Earth is warming, plus we add the probability that we select somebody who's a liberal Democrat. But we're probably going to account for both Earth is warming and liberal Democrat at the same time, so we want to subtract out the Earth is warming and the liberal Democrat probability here, and we know that the liberal Democrat probability is 18%. So let's actually mark that. This is 18.18. And now let's look at the probability that we select an Earth is warming believer. That's 0.6, and a liberal Democrat is down here, 0.2. So we have a 0.2 plus 0.6, that's 0.8, and we're subtracting out a 0.18, so that's a 0.72. So 0.72, and that should be our first response, 0.72. Okay, that's the first one. The second question is asking us, what's the probability that a randomly chosen respondent believes that the Earth is warming, given that he is a liberal Democrat? he or she is a liberal Democrat. So what we want to do here is we want to look at the liberal Democrat total. So it's a given that. So we want the liberal Democrat total, and that's what we want to get this out of. All right. So we're going to say that the probability that we're looking for, this is C now, C is going to be the probability that we select an Earth warming believer, EW, given that this person is a liberal Democrat. So what that tells us is that we want an Earth is warming believer out of the liberal Democrats. So we have a 0.2 here is your denominator for the liberal Democrats, and only out of these numbers up here, out of 0.2 is what we want. So the Earth is warming believer is really just this one slot over here, 0.18. So we want a 0.18 or 0.18 out of the 0.2 that we have here, and we'll put that into our calculator. So that would be a 0.18, and we're dividing by 0.2, and we get a 0.9, so that's 90%. .9. So that's a probability that out of the liberal Democrats, 90% of them believe the Earth is warming. All right, part D. Here they're asking us, what's the probability that a randomly chosen respondent believes that Earth is warming, given that he is a conservative Republican? So now we want the probability that somebody believes that the Earth is warming, given that this person is a conservative Republican. So in this particular scenario, what we want to do is we want to look at the conservative Republican total, and that is going to be 33%. And out of all those people, what we want to do is we want to figure out how many of them believe that the Earth is warming. So that's 11. Okay. So we want a new denominator here of 0.33, and then there was 11% of those people within that believe that the conservative Republicans believe that the Earth is warming. So that looks like it's just the 1/3. We don't need to put this in our calculator, do we? 3, and another 3 here would be less than 5, so we'll just give it as a 3, rounded off to 3 decimal places, or 4 decimal places. All right, part E, it's asking us to, does it appear that whether or not the respondent believes the Earth is warming is independent of their party ideology? So we found that if they were liberal Democrats, that 90% of them believe that the Earth is warming, but if they were Republicans, only 1/3 of them believe that the Earth is warming. So I think that's a fairly big difference. So the Earth is warming kind of really depends on whether you are liberal Democrat or not liberal Democrat, or you're a Republican. So there is a big difference. So I would say that is probably dependent. We can say there is a big difference between the liberal Democrats and conservative Republicans who believe that the Earth is warming. And then the last one, what is the probability that a randomly chosen respondent is moderate Republican, given that he does not believe that the Earth is warming. So the Earth is warming, does not believe that the Earth is warming, and moderate liberal Republican. Well, let's write down our probability first. What's the probability that a randomly chosen person is a moderate liberal Republican, given that this person does not believe Earth is warming? So let's call it DEW, does not believe Earth is warming. And so this is your new denominator, and I want to figure out how many people do not believe that the Earth is warming. And if I take a look at that, these are the people that don't believe that the Earth is warming. There's 0.34, 34% of them. And out of that column, how many people are moderate liberal Republicans? And I see that there is 0.06 of them. So let's put 0.06 divided by 0.34. So 6 divided by 34 basically. And there's a 1764 and a 7. So we'll say 17647, and we're rounding off to 4 decimal places. This number, the fifth decimal point or decimal place, is bigger than 5, so we will add 1 to this number. So that's 1765, 0.1765. And that should be it. All right, I hope that helps.